I don't know what the over-under is, but Hells, click the play button.
Good morning, and welcome to another edition of Roadhouse Live. I know it takes me a second. I got to go back and forth through screens and such as and whatnot. So it's a little bit difficult for me to do this, but I'm doing my best. Binda,
go live. Good. Go live and click the 1 minute countdown video.
Oh, I don't see that anywhere. We'll have to discuss. Anyways, how's it going, man?
Good. Are we going to go live?
I think we are live. We're 36.
Oh, we are live.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you couldn't figure out the intro video?
No, could not. Everything else seems to be operating and functioning just fine. Just fine. So look, man, I don't have a lot. The news this morning wants to talk about some data this week. The news this morning also wants to talk about some Gaza stuff. I don't know what to do with any of it. So let's just get into the charts. If you're cool with that, and you can walk us through, and we can go from there. Sound good?
Okay, sure. Let me add my screen here. Let's see. There we go. Now you got to hit the button. Yep. You got to click show on screen.
Dude, it's
click my chart.
Show Bender. Well, it says hide on stream. There's a request. Roadhouse. Hide on stream, Q, show.
There you go. Now double click on my chart and it'll expand it.
I did not know I can expand. I did not know that. I did not know that.
You can indeed.
Huh.
Expand.
Learn
okay, so yes, you do. All right. So looking at the daily here, and I was out the majority of last week. I'll be out the majority of this week as well, but I'll hop on and pitch in when I can. But looking at the daily here, we had this channel that we formed. We broke below and then reclaimed said channel. And as you can see, we're coming up to near the midpoint, right up in this 4630 area would give us the midpoint of this channel. Now the midpoint, itself, you can see how kind of hovered around that area as resistance before breaking to the top of the channel. You can see midpoint here coming into play as support before breaking lower. So we'll see if we get this same sort of action where we kind of hover around the midpoint before breaking higher. See what they want to do with it. But just wanted to point that out on the daily. Kind of keep that in mind if we do push up into that 4630, 4640 area, which, again, looking at the daily, you can also see we've been talking about this volume imbalance that's here in this gap that is still hanging out, that has yet to be filled, that regular trading hours gap. So that's just kind of the bigger picture. If we zoom in and we look at the 60-minute, we can see we got a little bit of a pullback coming in here from this high 4607.75, now trading 45.76. So we still have that August 4th high, and then this is that gap, regular trading hours gap from the second up here at 46.19 half. I'm going to get rid of some of this other stuff that we have now taken. This 45.75. That low was taken by like a tick or two before making this push up. But I would say that, that couple of ticks, I would say there's still a lot kind of hanging out down around that level.
And then 45.75?
45.45.
Oh, that's a good ways down. Okay.
75. So yeah, that's about 30 down from here.
Do you think that's achievable today, based on the existing pullback where we are now?
Do I think it's achievable on any given day? Anything is pretty much achievable.
You know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Let's look at the 15-minute here. There wasn't really anything left behind get this little fair value gap right here in the 15-minute that we're trading into. You know, I would say to kind of let flow be the guide. Here's where your stops. This would be the kind of that first stop run would be 45.62 half. So that's what 14 down from here. If it was to take that, that's where I would be looking for some sort of reaction. See if you get that wick below, pull back above, or if it, you know, pushes below, leaves a fair value gap behind that it trades up into. If that's what you get, then it's probably going to take that 45.75. And then you can see this 45.20 and 4,500, which is where this gap is kind of hanging out. So as far as levels below, those are kind of the areas that I would be watching out for. I pointed out the levels above that August 4th high, August 2nd gap, and then into that volume imbalance up in here, 46.30 up into 46.50. Going into, let's see, yeah, we got the 15-minute here. Let's go to a 5 real quick. See what we got going on. So you got kind of this, you know, if I throw a trend line, say something like this, kind of get this trend line resistance coming into play right here. So on a bounce, that would come in, you know, depending on what time of day, but say in the next hour, you're looking up around that 45.88 area. So I'd see what, you know, kind of what you get if they take that. I'm going to throw kind of right in here. I'll change the color of this, which is also 45.88.75. So a push up to 45.88 up and over this would put it over that trend line resistance, kind of see what they do if they pop that. Same sort of situation. See if you get that, you know, does it just take it and then pull back, or do you get that power candle through that leaves that fair value gap behind that you can look at as a potential long entry?
Got it.
Or again, short entry, you get that wick above, then quickly pulls back down in there. That would kind of show you that, oh, that was just liquidity. It was just grabbing stops before driving probably down here, if that's the kind of price action it gives you. I don't have a whole lot else. Let's throw real quick, just kind of get the midpoint here of this move. Right there. So we're coming up to it right here, right now. The midpoint of this up move, right there, 45.76.25. So we're kind of hovering right in there. I would be looking for what it does. You know, right now we're kind of getting this pullback, but looking at what it does and how it reacts to this midpoint. You know, now it's technically in a value area. So see if buyers step in and, you know, take advantage of the discount here. I think, you know, looking at 25, 30 points, you know, off of these highs, 25 points from 4,600. It's like, you know, if they wanted a little pullback to push over and into that gap, maybe this is what they were looking for. But see if this kind of becomes resistance right in here, or if it takes this and gives you that reaction, 45.62 half. If it takes that and gives you that reaction and gets back above this midpoint, it's probably going to fire up here. Maybe you get it today, maybe it's tomorrow, but yeah.
What do you have on the dollar?
Let me pull that up real quick.
Because the dollar looked awfully curious to me coming into the day. It looked to me like it was in some type of bear flag, head and shoulder type thing, and then we just seconds ago we got a pop on it, put in a little higher high. But to me, it looks like, it looks like it's, if you look at a 1 hour, like it kind of wants to wobble down. Maybe I'm seeing it wrong. You tell me.
Well, looking at the daily here, right? The dollar's up move from July to its highs from October. This move up right here, midpoint of that being 103.45, right? So it's hovering kind of right around that midpoint. So it took, if you look at, we're looking at this right here. So it took the high just barely and then came down here and swept the low. So it took out all these stops right here. Mm-hmm. So it's, the fact that it's getting this supportive bounce is not surprising at all. What I will point out is, if I zoom in, what's interesting is this volume imbalance right in here. And you can see where the bottom of these candles come in, these daily candles, right? It's like holding right above that volume imbalance. So in order for the dollar to break lower, I would be looking for a daily candle that closes below 103.12. To me, that would look like, okay, this volume imbalance has been filled. And if it breaks lower from here, it's likely to take this out. I would say that above 103.72 is not what we want to see, right? Because at that point, it's like sellers came in and tried to push this down. And then, if buyers are able to push it up and over that, you could see it start to take out some of these levels up above. And on the flip side, this is where the bulls came in on the dollar and stepped in and they said, okay, that's enough. We took out these lows. This is a discount. I'm going to buy it and push up. A break below that, 102.46, and it likely kind of pushes down into some of these levels, 101.70-ish, and then you can see the wick of this candle right here that the bulls pushed up on just over 156. So hovering right around the midpoint of this move, and you can kind of see where the stops come into play, and it may kind of consolidate in here a little bit. But I'd be watching this volume imbalance for keys. I think that's about it.
All right, very good. Sonny, what you got?
Wait. Sorry, 1 second. Bitcoin. We got to look at Bitcoin. We were talking about this break over 38K, that likely a candle closing, daily candle closing above that would make this move over 40, right? That's kind of what we've been tracking and watching, and it made that move. We had that daily candle close above 38, and now just rocket shot to the upside. If you are playing the crypto names, playing anything that Bitcoin has an impact on, I'd be watching this, see what kind of reaction you get if it pushes over 43. Mm-hmm. There's a daily volume imbalance, or not volume imbalance, fair value gap on the daily sitting right in this area, which is like 44 to 45, 125, kind of right in there. And then you've got 48, 234. You can see this daily candle that we're on right now. We're going to leave some stuff behind if we go into a 60-minute. You can see there's there's fair value gaps in here all along the way. And as we often say, when the action is very one-sided, it also means that if it decides they start selling it off, it can fill some of this stuff in, backfill very quickly if it really starts to move. But anybody that's been, tuning into this show, we've been talking about that move over 38 likely pushes it over 40, 41. And there you have it. So that's all I got.
All right, Sonny, what you got, man?
Morning, everyone. Bunch of news. I think, again, everybody just waiting on data, see what happens. Good thing is the Feds are in the blackout period, so no more speeches by them hopping on and contradicting each other and fucking with the candles. So let's start off. So Verizon is offering bundle deal on Netflix and Max for $10 a month. No, this is the same bundle, if you pay $17, $18 on Netflix. And I think this comes in on the heels of the news that we had last week about Apple and Paramount probably doing a bundle deal also. Apple iPhone production's been halted because of the flooding and the rains and the cyclone happening. So they don't know when they're going to reopen. Could be a couple of days. Don't see much of an impact. NVIDIA has been replaced. Well, NVIDIA replaces AMD as a top large cap pick at Piper Sandler. They also upgraded the price target. NVIDIA CEO is also saying they're pledging their increased AI processor supply to Japan, as Japan is investing in the infrastructure, AI chip infrastructure. GM, they were up a little bit this morning. They got a buy rating upgrade by Mizuho and HSBC, and their focus is on EV profits. And last week they said, they're going to tamper down on the EV production, things like that. So this is just kind of contradictory that's happening here, which isn't new. We see it every day. OpenAI ChatGPT has become the fastest growing app with 100 million weekly users. Pretty significant number. I've been playing around quite a bit with it. It's very interesting, the potential for it. Not just ChatGPT, but other GPTs, AI apps that have come out. Very, very good potential there. So there are new guidelines coming out for the EVs, for the federal tax credits regarding the batteries made in China or the components they use. So there's a threshold. If you're above the threshold, the cars don't qualify for the EV tax credits going into next year. Spotify is up this morning about 6%. They are laying off 17% of their workforce. And the last one is Uber. We had talked about it last week, potentially joining the S&P. They have been confirmed. So the aftermarket rose to about 61 and another 5% this morning. They'll be start trading in the S&P starting December 18th. Now, JP Morgan put out some statement this morning. They said the markets have entered an entirely new interest rate regime, and the equities offer potential for meaningful gains in 2024. Kind of switch from their earlier statements that we're going to see a recession, we're going to see this in 24 and all of that. Now they are kind of flipping the scenario going into 2024. They're also saying the stresses related to higher interest rates and credit will be manageable and not enough to cause a recession in 2024. And there you have it. JP Morgan.
There you have it. Just like that. Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And that's all.
And that's all, folks. What you got there, Stonks? Do we have Stonks today?
Oh, yeah. We got...
He's making sounds.
I'm here.
Be alert.
Woo. Yeah, awake. Let's do this. I don't know, Bender. Do we have audio? Are we all hooked up? I don't know. People are talking about in the room. They're wondering about our audios. But I'll just jump into it here. Let's see. We've got some potential smash burgers on deck, so let's take a look at those. All cleaned up over here. Big breakout, killer day on the IWM Russell. And so we're going to keep an eye on that. But potentially, again, smash day equals failed breakout. So we'd be waiting for the break below Friday's low as a short entry here on the Russell or IWM. Let's see, SPY, also potential short setup here on the smash burgers. That would be, we closed above the prior day's high, so we're looking for the break of Friday's low, and the stop would be Friday's high. And Q's did not actually have a downside. We would have potentially had an upside smash day if we break Thursday's high because we had a close below. So I've got an alert set on the Qs to break up there, but that would be a 4-point up move. We've got a little ways to go before that alert would hit over there on the Qs for a potential smash day. So we'll take a look at the NASDAQ with all this markup here. Let's see. So we've got kind of like a mini head and shoulders that appears to be already playing out. Right, left shoulder, head, right shoulder. We've got a bunch of stops sitting right here. So if we were going to have our opportunity to play, screw everyone as much as possible, take your stops and go the other way, I'm going to be watching this 15,856 is this level right here. That's where there's going to be stops sitting. If that's the play and they pause it and bounce it right here, that could be a good long. And then you can see I have this marked up above, basically equal highs where there's a bear. The algo is going to be thinking some guy's got to stop sitting right there. So we could potentially be looking for a move 16,09975. If we can't, if we lose this guy's stops, you can see there's probably something sitting down here. This level, that would be that 15,827. And then we've got these guys, this double bottom over here. So that would be kind of some of the things to look out for below. This orange box is going to be this weekly fair value gap here. That's going to be this candle's high up until this low. I brought it down a little bit just to reflect that hourly, those stops on the hourly. So that's where this orange box comes in. And then we've been looking at this as a possible order block on the daily, which it was a up close candle followed by an aggressive push down. So potentially, originally would have thought bear wanted to get in cheaper, but now that we've popped and kept closing above, I'd be looking for this to be a ICT, Mr. T breaker, which means if we get down here, I'll be looking to see if this 15,622.25 offers any support if we come down here based on this candle there.
There's a couple of little levels I thought we were going to bounce in through here, and just kind of watching this morning and just a whole bunch of nothing. It's just like we're just selling. That's all we're doing. We're just selling. That's interesting morning when you look at the NQ over there.
Yep, just cruising. I mean, yeah, it's like I think Sonny might have mentioned it. When like we've been watching Microsoft and Apple, and it's like they're just kind of chilling, just sitting there. We had this choppy week. They're just kind of sitting around. It's like the trades are kind of feels a little bit more like a stock picker type of environment. So with that in mind, let's look at the Russell because that's where the big breakout was. So let's see. Let's start this busy chart here, but we had this weekly fair value gap, this orange box, and we had a candle close above it, which would have me thinking this would be potentially a inversion gap, which would mean we might have some support down here, this 1838.7. If we switch over to the daily, we had this potential order block candle, a green up close candle followed by an aggressive push down, which is why I have the fibs here. So this 187370 level is going to be important, kind of like we just talked about on the NASDAQ. For that to become a breaker, for this to be looking like an area that we would look for as support, we just need to close above it. So that's kind of the key levels above. And then I also have this purple line is going to be the next spot. Let's go. Just a bunch of stops potentially sitting up there. So I want to keep that in mind. If we can start kind of moving to the upside, it'd be important to see, again, like we always say, is this just grab somebody's stops and send it back. But that's going to be an area where there's definitely a lot of liquidity sitting there over on the Russell. So, I mean, you can see off the bottom, nice pop and then pull back, nice pop, pull back. So it's like, are we, do we have to do this again? And if we do, I think I'm going to be watching, this is that bottom of the weekly gap. So, still leaning for potentially more upside again if we're doing this kind of stock pickers market environment. I think let flow be the guide. But when we look at the things that were really moving last week, it was this, as opposed to, like, we had a pretty choppy week on the Nasdaq. Things like the KRE. It's like these little pockets of the market that are just on fire. I think we're going to really want to use flow as our guide for some of these places where we can capitalize, as opposed to watching Apple run flat. So we'll let the flow kind of tell us there. So that's kind of what I'll be looking for this week. We could also maybe take a quick look at the breakout on gold, because that was definitely significant on Friday, and it's coming back. So similarly, we had this weekly fair value gap. We closed above, and now we're right to the bottom of it. So I could see this potentially acting as support, where we are in this nice steady uptrend. So I think this will be a good watch going into this week, as well as you mentioned. There was a pop and drop on the dollar on Friday, which lined up really well with this big move on gold to the upside.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here watching this sell down, going like, "What the fuck are you guys doing? What is this?"
Yeah,
it's like, honestly, what are we doing? What's the story? What did I miss this morning? Sonny, you had nothing. I had nothing. What's the story?
And we're almost here. So again,
it's like, this is some of the most ridiculous. It's like, all right, we got anything else?
That's all I got.
All right, very good. 14 minutes till open. 14 minutes till open. We'll see you guys soon.